Hello and welcome to the Imaging Wire Show. My name is Brian Casey. I'm managing editor of the Imaging Wire. Got a great episode for you today. Our guest is Teri Thomas, the new CEO of enterprise imaging company Mach7 Technologies. Teri, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
So, Teri, you just joined Mach7, and many folks in radiology may know you from your previous role as CEO of Volpara Health. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, about your new role at Mach7?
Absolutely. So, broader background, I'm a registered nurse. I grew up in healthcare technology. I spent 20 years working for the electronic medical record company Epic, which of course has the Radiant radiology information system, but a much broader suite of products. And focusing on EMR and empowering patients has always been a big driver for me as a leader in information technology. However, my introduction to the imaging world was through my former role at Volpara. I quite loved Volpara's mission, saving families from cancer, pretty meaningful. Um, Moving from Volpara to Mach7, it felt like I was stepping onto a much bigger stage, though, because suddenly I'm working with academic medical centers, veterinary practices, all types of imaging, expanding from that really very focused scope of Volpara mammography to a massive shift, really very broad use. And one of the strengths of Mach7 is that it really manages all different types of imaging, not just radiology, and even to the point of connecting back to my original, what got me into healthcare technology to begin with, my time at Epic. A lot of Epic users use Mach7 technology to serve up images in MyChart, which is the patient portal. So kind of fun to see that full circle coming around for me as a person who is very passionate about improving healthcare and now through the world of broader imaging with Mach7.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the new role. Can you give us a little bit of an overview of Mach7 and some of the technologies that you offer?
Yeah, absolutely. In general, I feel like we've really become complacent. There's some failure in medical imaging. Whenever medical imaging data can't be accessed, whether it's slow, whether there's workflow problems, antiquated data policies, we're taking time out of patients' lives. And I look at what's going on in this industry, AI, self-driving cars, we can do better. We still can't reliably and consistently access all of a patient's medical images in the context of that full patient picture. I do believe that's unacceptable, and that's what Mach7 exists to solve. So Mach7 is a leader in vendor-neutral architecture for imaging. And I say the word architecture, we're known for being a leader in VNA, being vendor-neutral archive, going back to 2008 when we began. However, we've grown from just a repository of images to adding on a diagnostic imaging viewer, and going beyond archive and viewer to actually a full architecture that can break organizations free from tethered proprietary data, from the endless change orders of trying to figure out how can I bring this image in and how can I bring that image in, to really enable our customers to access the power of their imaging data, whether it's metadata, pixel data, as they want. And this is super important for us in areas like teleimaging, where you're blurring the lines between where somebody's working, where they're accessing images. Lots of people accessing images and reading them in their living rooms, also in hospitals, in clinics, but even looking at going into the AI era. People want to actually use their images even for creating their own AI, especially some of the groundbreaking academic medical centers. So when I look at how Mach7 addresses the needs in the industry, teleimaging is a big area, but also really freeing the data so that people can access all types of images for whatever they want to do, not tethered to a proprietary and single PACS provider.
Right. Now, the enterprise imaging market is really competitive, as you know, and there's so many companies out there. What do you think differentiates Mach7 and your technology from some of the other companies that are out there?
Yep, I think there's several things about Mach 7 that are really unique. First of all, the fact that we are truly vendor neutral from the beginning, so we don't have a preference for accessing the data that's in our proprietary system. We work with all different PACS vendors, all different types of data. That's something unique because a lot of the competitors that we're compared with really grew out of being a PACS vendor and then saying, and we have an archive. But do they have that truly neutral archive that pulls people away from those proprietary structures and really fully leverage their imaging data? That's something that our customers say is a huge strength for us. I love that customers have said that we make the other vendors scared because when they've got the Mach 7 VNA, they can swap other systems out at will, and they know they've got that real stable base where they have that freedom to be able to make changes. So that's a big one. When I look at our viewer in particular, differentiation, speed, and ease of use. One of the first things I did when I took the job as CEO of Mach 7 is call customers. And I asked customers, what do you think of using our technology? What do you like about it? And one common thing I heard is we hate how much time it takes to train our radiologists. We have a shortage of radiologists. Every minute that they're not seeing patients and reading images is lost revenue for us and more stacked up patients waiting for getting their assessments. The ability to be able to enable our viewer, roll it out quickly with little to no training is something that several customers reported. It's reliable, it's fast, but gosh, it's easy. And that really matters in a time where we've got a lot of challenges with radiologist burnout. There's a lot of frustration in our industry. So I'm
Yeah.
quite proud that we can be a vendor that people like to use that doesn't add the stress to an already stressful job.
Great. Yeah, nobody needs that. So do you guys target specific market niches in radiology?
Broadly, Mach 7 has a lot of different customer types. And as we're going through our strategy work right now, we are looking at who are those that we think benefit the most from our software. So we've got all different types of customers from big academic medical centers, large integrated delivery networks, single hospitals, imaging chains, even veterinary. However, we do think the center of our kind of bullseye, those that benefit most from that truly vendor neutral and comprehensive access, is the bigger academic medical centers and the larger IDNs. They tend to have more complicated needs. They tend to have they're the folks that are interested in building their own AI. They're interested in leveraging their data for strategic differentiators. They want a toolkit that they can actually make hum themselves. And the flexibility that what Mach 7 provides is beyond what a lot of other vendors provide. It creates that ability for organizations that are big in scale and trying to create their edge to leverage our technology to follow that edge with imaging. I did mention a bullseye, and bullseyes tend to have like a center of the bullseye, but then usually you've got a couple other rings. I will say that there is a strong adjacency and a big growth area for us in the area of teleimaging. So lots of growth in this industry overall. And when I mentioned about the ease of use of our viewer, we can deploy it quickly. It doesn't take a lot of training. It's super fast, zero footprint. There is a very different type of customer from that academic medical center that's got very specific needs, which is still needing the same scale, still needing the ability to have a system that performs quickly, but can be rolled out really quickly and simply. And so big growth for us in teleimaging, teleradiology chains.
Right, very cool. Now, switching gears a little bit, Terry, you joined Mach 7 a few months ago after being at the helm at Volpara, like we talked about. What's the transition been like for you?
Yeah, it's been a great transition. It feels a little bit like going from a specialty boutique maybe to a more global marketplace, in that a much broader scope of the job, the impact of what we do is a bit deeper, larger number of patients, larger number of images. It's energizing to be able to see the impact that our technology at Mach7 can do globally. So we've got some big customers in Hong Kong, we've got big customers in the Middle East, a large base in the United States, some in Canada. So going from a very deep vertical of breast health to the entire world of imaging, all the way CT, MRI, ultrasound, radiology, endoscopy. One of the things that Mach7 is also known for is the full enterprise. So lots of vendors provide what you need for radiology, but imaging is far bigger than radiology. So it's been quite nice coming in and being able to see that broader impact. And as a person, I'm very driven by making an impact on patients and empowering patients. So when I mentioned earlier about MyChart, I actually called just a couple of people that I know that have MyChart accounts, and just randomly asked, friends and sort of acquaintances, do you have any imaging in your MyChart? And 4 people said yes. And then I said, can you open your image and tell me what does it look like? Don't show me your image. But tell me what it looks like. And each of them, all 4 said, it said eUnity, which is one of our products. And I thought, that's pretty cool. I don't think our industry is aware, because we do have resellers and channel partners, how broadly our software is being used, including into the hands of patients. So I would say that was one of the most exciting things for me as a person transitioning from the Epic world to the mammography world into this broader imaging world, and gratifying for me personally to see that we are enabling patients to be empowered with simple and easy access to their images directly via our viewer.
Yeah, that's super cool. So what have been some of the key areas of focus that you've had in your first 90 days there at Mach7?
Oh, yeah, it's been a busy first 90 days. My first move wasn't to do a big reorganization. It was really to listen. So, as I mentioned, I called several customers. I asked them, what do you like about Mach7? Are there areas for us to improve? I wanted to get their input. I called some of our partners. I spoke with Class, the folks out in Salt Lake City. And then I actually spoke with every single Mach7 employee. I had some very long days of back-to-back calls. However, I asked each employee, what works? What doesn't work? What would you change if you could wave a magic wand and make me do a CEO appropriate thing? And the thing that's really cool about that intake process is that I got almost the same answers between customers and employees. The themes I got were, we want to break down silos and empower people to do the right thing for the customer. So that was the first thing I did, break down silos. So we previously had a services organization and a support organization reporting up through different leadership. And the way that Mach7 engaged with a customer that had been live for a while was through ticketing. And so there was a bank of people that were answering tickets, and there were customers that generated tickets, and a customer's relationship with us kind of started and ended based on a ticket. And that's not a great way to build a really strong relationship, but it's also less gratifying for our staff, because our staff want to get to know the customers. They want to have a deeper understanding of the customer's world, and they want to be able to help the customers succeed. And it's hard to do that on a ticket by ticket basis. So we overhauled that part of our business entirely. We went from 16 distinct job descriptions to 7. We took away those silos and we created one unified team called the flight crew. Now, Mach7, of course, the concept of our name is speed, and speed of accessing images is foundational to who we are. But we decided, let's have fun and let's lean in on that theme. So every part of our business that engages directly with customers is under one umbrella of the flight crew. And it's a united but multidisciplinary team, and it's organized around the customer. So every customer has a designated team that gets to know them. Nobody has to tell their story over and over again of, I'm an academic medical center, I'm on this version, I have these interfaces. Even I have this degree of technical knowledge within my team, or I've got a brand new team who doesn't really know how to spell DICOM. I've told our staff, I want them to get to know not just the names of the customers, but the names of the customers' kids, and the customers' kids' pets. And so put their hats on, put their shoes on, really get to know them. And so organized around what we call the ACE, which is the Advocate for Customer Excellence. That person leads the flight crew team doing what's right for the customer. Then we've got a couple other fun roles. We've got concept of a wingmate, which is like a project manager, helping someone through anything that they need to do, whether it's upgrades, organizing all of our ongoing engagement with our customers. We've got a code pilot, which is a technical person, and then a tech viper, who is a deeply knowledgeable, extremely experienced technical person. So we've got this multidisciplinary crew that's supporting the needs of the customer. And instead of engaging on a ticket by ticket basis, they're engaging on a customer by customer basis.
Oh, that sounds like a
Now,
great idea.
we're actually building something else unique on top of this too, though. Um, we actually are requiring every member of the Mach7 leadership team to adopt a customer, down to our CFO, our workforce excellence leader, our head of IT. Every one of my leadership team needs to have at least one customer that they get to know, that they speak with at least quarterly, so that all of the decisions that we make as leaders of the company are made with the customer in mind. And so every single person, it was a bit of an interesting discussion to get people comfortable with, well, wait a minute, what do I talk with the customer about if I'm the CFO or our IT guy? All right, cybersecurity is something in the forefront of everyone's minds. You know a lot about that. That's an area that you can connect. But fundamentally, it's putting our money where our mouth is in making sure that we are truly customer centered in the decisions that we make going forward under my leadership. And then the last part, and I steal this from Epic, is learning and observation trips. So our developers will no longer be given specifications over a wall by a product team who's given specifications by a customer team that's shared somewhere 4 steps away by the customer, but rather the people that are doing the code are actually engaging directly with customers. So we've got our first learning and observation trip scheduled. Customers love this. So I've asked, can they just observe you and just 4 to 6 hours of time watching you read x-rays, manage accessing ultrasounds, accessing, all of the other information that you need. And the thing that it does is that when you're theoretically talking about a workflow and somebody says, this is a challenging workflow, I have to scroll here and click there. If you see it once, you think it's not a big deal. But if you watch somebody do that 400 times, all of a sudden you understand it is a big deal. And so in terms of underscoring and developing and enhancing our leadership position and ease of use, we're investing in getting our staff that are doing that coding directly understanding the world of our customers. So I would say those are the biggest changes that we've made in the company in the first 90 days.
These all sound like great ideas. Now, Teri, as you guys are talking to the customer now, what are you hearing from some of your customers' radiology sites about what some of their big challenges are and what some of the things that kind of keep them up at night?
Oh, yeah. It's pretty consistent. There are, I would say, 4 main challenges that come up over and over. First one is just burnout. And I think it's kind of funny. I sort of want our software to be the software you don't even think about, that you forget about. And it sounds terrible, like who wants to be unforgettable? But our doctors don't like software. They don't want to think about it. They want to read their images, see their patients, get their work done, go home in time for dinner. And the more they have to think about the software, the more frustrated they are. And I was just speaking with a customer who's, well, a prospective customer that's considering moving to us, talking about his current situation. And he's like, here's the cycle I get, read, call IT, wait. Read, call IT, wait. Massive frustration. And he said this is a real issue with them retaining radiologists. He's like, IT actually is a direct impact on our hiring, our retention, and staff burnout. So that's something I hear is a real frustration. There are a lot of systems out there that are slow. There are a lot of systems out there that have broken workflows. There's a lot of time people spend hunting and pecking, and there's a lot of unreliability and downtime. So dealing with those issues and addressing burnout is, I think, front of mind for a lot of customers. Now, related to burnout is staffing shortages. There's only one place that I've heard that people said, no, we've got plenty of staff, and that's the Netherlands. I don't know why. Um, so I'm hearing, challenges with technologists, challenges with radiologists. There's just a lot of staff shortages, and it's directly related to burnout. But how do you leverage AI? How do you make sure that you're maximizing the staff you have for maximum efficiency? AI, not just diagnostic AI, the world I came from, but also workflow AI. How can we speed people up? This goes even into IT staffing shortages, having people who really understand technology, who can be responsive, making sure you can troubleshoot things quickly. We've got people doing big Epic installs, and that's a big distraction. There's a lot of work happening. And so how do we make sure that imaging is consistently reliable, available? I heard from class and customers there's far too much downtime. So that's something Mach7 is addressing, the ability to access Mach7, even if you've got 3 different PACS systems and they're going down, or even in the cybersecurity world, which is number 3, massive worries about cybersecurity. I'm hearing people say with terror, it's not a matter of if we'll get a cybersecurity attack, but it's a matter of when. And that's the reality of healthcare. When you look at the volumes of attempts, there's a lot of fear about this. So another area that people have engaged with us is, what if we have to take our network down? What if we have to lock everything down? Can we still access our images? And Mach7 has a way to do that. And I think the fourth area is, I want a full patient picture, and the systems are fragmented. And I brought this up in the very beginning. We should be able to do that better. We've got more comprehensive electronic medical records, but imaging lags behind that. So accessing ultrasounds, wound care. People might say, all right, I've got most of my radiology that's done here all in one place, but that's really one part of the picture. And from the patient's perspective, there is a need to really complete that picture with all of the appropriate imaging, and we're not there. So that's one of the reasons that people come to Mach7 to begin with.
Yeah, yeah. No, Teri, it seems like a lot of the radiology IT field is moving to a subscription-based model for software. So rather than buying it as a capital equipment purchase, people are buying it as a subscription. What are the advantages of that, and how could it maybe change the way people are doing enterprise imaging?
Yeah, it is definitely a trend, and it's something that we embrace as well. I do note differences within the US versus outside of the US. So there's a lot more capital kind of models where people are buying software along with equipment, in a one-time kind of purchase. And that's a little bit problematic in that people want to know, with the pace that technology evolves, that they're buying something that will evolve with them. So the subscription model is quite nice in that, for us, of course, it's great to have a recurring revenue model, and almost all of our customers within the US license us on a subscription model. But it also gives the customers some predictability and peace of mind that as new technology comes out, as we as a company offer more and more innovation, as we're moving to areas like what we're doing with Amazon and the cloud, that there's an easy way to be able to take advantage of those without having to go through a very, arduous and singular selection process with one big capital output. So makes it a little easier for customers to get in, but it also gives them that peace of mind that this is going to grow with them.
It makes sense. So, Teri, we're just a few weeks away from RSNA. Can you give us any hints to what we can expect from Mach7, and any other kind of thoughts about the company's future?
Oh yeah, we're excited about RSNA. It's a big trade show, of course. We're going to have some really cool advanced visualization. We're going to showcase our deepening partnership with Amazon, AWS cloud-based health imaging. They've been a great partner to work with, and that access to fast and optimized really migration to the cloud is it's just a big industry trend, and we're on that quite heavily with that partnership as part of our cloud strategy. The other area, we've got some pretty cool stuff in digital pathology. This is a newer area. People are asking for it. We showed our first bit of development at SIM and got great feedback from our customers. So we've been full speed ahead on digital pathology. So we'll be happy to engage with our customers and get feedback. Again, keeping in mind, we want this to be, while it's super cool, we want it to be the technology people don't think about. Because it is so easy and it is so fast. So we're going to be memorable and hopefully also forgettable.
All right, perfect. Well, those are great words to end on. Teri Thomas of Mach7 Technologies, thanks so much for being with us today.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right, signing off for the Imaging Wire. My name is Brian Casey.